All right, welcome to the deep dive. Today we're going to be taking a deep dive, as usual, into some really fascinating stuff. We're going to be looking at the world's hottest peppers.
Sounds spicy.
Yeah, definitely going to bring the heat today. We've got a lot of great info here from various sources, and our mission, if you will, is to kind of pick out the most interesting, the most useful bits about these peppers.
Yeah, it's funny. When most people think of hot peppers, they just think, about the burn, the
Yeah,
heat.
right.
But there's a lot more to it than that. There are nuances in flavor,
Yeah.
and then there are potential health benefits.
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot to unpack there. Yeah, so we're going to be breaking down the top 5 hottest peppers. We'll be talking about, just how hot are they exactly, what makes them unique in terms of flavor, and like you were saying, any potential health benefits. And then for those of you out there who, maybe want to get a little adventurous in the kitchen, we'll even be sharing some DIY recipe ideas.
And I like it. A little something for everyone.
All right, so let's just jump right in. First up, we've got the current king of heat, the Carolina Reaper.
Oh, yeah, the Carolina Reaper. Just the name kind of tells you everything you need to know, right?
Yeah.
It's at the moment, the world's hottest pepper. And when I say hot, I mean hot. It clocks in at an average of 1.5 million Scoville heat units, or SHUs.
1.5 million. And to put that into some kind of perspective for you, like if a jalapeno, is maybe like a little sparkler.
Right.
This thing, the Carolina Reaper, is like a full-blown bonfire.
Yeah, an inferno, maybe. And to make it even crazier, there have been individual Carolina Reapers that have been measured at over 2.2 million SHUs.
2.2.
Yes.
So where does all this heat come from? But how does a pepper even get that hot?
It's pretty fascinating, actually. It's all about, crossbreeding, essentially. The Carolina Reaper is a hybrid, meaning it's a cross between a Pakistani Naga pepper and a Red Habanero. So it was created by, intentionally combining these two really hot peppers to kind of maximize the heat factor.
Wow. And it worked.
And it worked, yeah. And it's really interesting, too, because, a lot of people say that underneath all that crazy heat, there's actually this really nice, subtle, fruity kind of flavor.
That's quite a combo. Fruity and fiery.
Definitely a contrast, yeah.
Now, I know you were saying earlier that it's not all about the burn, right?
Right.
So are there actually like health benefits hiding in this Reaper?
Yeah, for sure. Like a lot of hot peppers, the Carolina Reaper is loaded with this compound called capsaicin, which is what makes peppers hot in the first place. And, capsaicin has some really cool effects on the body. For example, it's been shown to potentially boost metabolism.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, it basically makes your body work a little harder to process that heat, and that can, maybe play a role in weight management, things like that.
So you're saying a little Reaper could give your system a little kickstart?
Maybe a little kickstart, yeah. And, beyond the metabolism stuff, capsaicin is also a natural pain reliever. So when it's applied to the skin, like in a cream or something, it can block pain signals, and it can help reduce inflammation in joints and muscles.
Okay, so eat a little bit, rub a little bit on your joints. Now, for the real heat seekers out there, what kind of, DIY stuff can you actually do with the Carolina Reaper?
Well, one of the sources we looked at has a recipe for Carolina Reaper hot sauce.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. But just to be clear, this is for the truly brave, like the people who really, really love extreme heat.
Right.
So the recipe calls for just 1 Carolina Reaper, and that's combined with 2 cups of vinegar, half a cup of water, 3 cloves of garlic, 1 tablespoon of olive oil, and then, of course, salt to taste.
1 pepper for all that.
1 pepper.
Okay, that sounds potent. What are you going to do to make this stuff?
All right, so you basically blend all the ingredients together until they're smooth, and then you simmer it for about 20 minutes, just to let those flavors kind of meld together. And then finally, you strain it using a fine mesh sieve into a clean bottle or a jar.
Sounds pretty straightforward.
It is, but they really emphasize in the recipe, use it sparingly.
Yeah.
And I would definitely echo that sentiment. A single drop of this stuff could set your mouth on fire.
All right, a word to the wise. So, moving on from the Carolina Reaper, let's talk about another pepper that used to hold the title of world's hottest, and that's the ghost pepper, or butt jolokia, as it's also known.
Yeah, the ghost pepper, definitely a legend in the world of hot peppers. Before the Reaper came along and stole the show, this was the undisputed champion. And it's still incredibly hot. We're talking over 1 million SHUs.
So still hotter than, way hotter than most people could ever handle.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So while it's not the hottest anymore, it's still not something to be trifled with.
Definitely not. Now, I'm curious about the flavor. Is it just pure heat, or is there something else going on there?
Well, that's what's kind of cool about the ghost pepper, A lot of people say that it actually have a more complex flavor profile than just pure heat.
Hmm.
There is kind of smoky quality to it, and there's also, believe it or not, a slightly sweet taste that kind of develops before the heat really kicks in.
Hmm. So it's not just one-dimensional.
Not at all.
Yeah.
And some people say that the heat itself kind of builds more gradually compared to some other super hots. So yeah, there's definitely some nuance to it.
Well, that makes me want to try it, but I don't know if I'm quite brave enough yet. No, are there any potential health benefits associated with the ghost pepper, like with the Reaper?
Definitely. Again, it's all about the capsaicin. The ghost pepper is loaded with it. And one of the interesting things about the ghost pepper is that it might help with digestion.
Oh.
Yeah. They think that capsaicin actually stimulates the production of stomach acid,
Oh, okay.
and that can, make the whole digestion process a bit smoother.
Interesting. So if you're having trouble, maybe a little touch of ghost pepper could help things along.
Well, I'm not a doctor, but some people believe that. And, on top of that, the ghost pepper is also, like other hot peppers, a good source of antioxidants,
Oh, okay.
which are compounds that, protect your cells from damage.
Right, antioxidants, we hear a lot about those.
Yeah, they're pretty important.
So if someone wanted to, explore the ghost pepper and all its intensity and flavor, maybe in a way that's, less extreme than just eating it raw or making a hot sauce, what would you suggest?
Well, there's this recipe that's been going around for ghost pepper infused oil.
Ooh.
Yeah. So basically, you take a ghost pepper, just one, and you very carefully, wearing gloves of course, slice it up. And then you put those slices into a jar with a cup of like really good quality olive oil.
Okay.
And you let it sit for 1 to 2 months. The oil kind of absorbs the flavor and the heat from the pepper. And then you strain it out, and you've got this incredible, spicy oil that you can use for all sorts of stuff.
That sounds amazing. I mean, how would you use it? Like, what would you put it on?
I mean, you could drizzle it over salads. You could use it on roasted vegetables. You could even put it on, a slice of pizza.
Oh,
I mean,
man.
the possibilities are endless, really.
I'm already hungry. All right, so we've talked about the Carolina Reaper at over 2 million SAUs. We've talked about the ghost pepper at over 1 million. Let's take it down a notch, shall we, and talk about the Scotch bonnet. This one is a staple in Caribbean cuisine, isn't it?
So it is, it is. And it comes in at a much more, shall we say, manageable level of heat, typically ranging from 350,000 to 500,000 SAUs.
Okay, so still pretty darn hot, but not quite as, face melting as the first two we talked about.
Exactly, exactly. It's still significantly hotter than a jalapeno, just to give you a reference point.
Yeah.
But it's in a different league compared to the Reaper or the ghost pepper.
Right, right. So what's it about the Scotch bonnet that makes it so popular in Caribbean cooking, specifically dishes like jerk chicken?
Well, it's got this really wonderful fruity flavor that pairs really well with the spices and the savoriness of, dishes like jerk chicken. It's not just about the heat with the Scotch bonnet. It brings this kind of sweetness and aroma to the table, too.
Hmm, that sounds delicious. So not just heat, but flavor too.
Absolutely. And, speaking of the health benefits, with Scotch bonnets, once again, capsaicin plays a role.
Hmm.
There's some evidence to suggest that it might help with heart health by improving circulation.
Really?
Yeah, and better circulation means a reduced risk of heart disease.
That's good to know. Anything else on the health front?
Well, they're also thought to have some anti-inflammatory properties, which could be helpful for people who suffer from, things like arthritis or muscle pain.
Oh, interesting. So a little bit of heat could actually help soothe those aches and pains.
Potentially, yeah.
Now, what about some DIY action with the Scotch bonnet? What kind of recipe would you recommend for someone who's looking to try out this pepper?
Well, one of the recipes that we found is for a Scotch bonnet salsa.
Ooh, salsa. Okay.
Sounds pretty good, right?
It does.
So for this recipe, you're going to need 2 Scotch bonnet peppers, 2 ripe tomatoes, 1 red onion, about a 1/4 cup of fresh cilantro, the juice of 1 lime, and then salt to taste.
All right, so we're getting some good flavor in there too.
Oh, yeah. And it's really simple to make. You just finally chop all those ingredients, mix them together, and then you want to refrigerate it for about an hour before you serve it, just to let all those flavors really meld together.
Okay. Sounds easy enough, even for me. And what would you say is the best way to enjoy that salsa?
They recommend it with grilled meats and tacos.
Oh, man. That sounds perfect. All right, let's keep moving down this heat ladder. Next up, we've got the habanero. This is a pretty common pepper, right? Like you can find it in most grocery stores.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's one of the more widely available hot peppers out there. It's really popular, especially in Mexican cuisine, and it's, definitely got a kick to it. But it's a little more approachable than some of the other peppers we've talked about. The heat level typically falls somewhere between 100,000 and 350,000 SHUs.
Okay. Still a respectable amount of heat, but maybe a little more manageable for the average person.
Right, exactly. It's a good stepping stone, if you will, for people who are wanting to explore the world of hot peppers.
Now tell me about the flavor. What makes the habanero unique?
Well, it's got this interesting combination of heat and fruitiness. A lot of people describe it as having a citrusy flavor, almost like an apricot or a mandarin orange.
Hmm. That's different. I don't think I've ever had a pepper that tastes like that.
It's pretty unique, yeah.
Now, what about the health benefits? Does the habanero have anything to offer in that department?
Yeah, like the other peppers we've talked about, the habanero is also a good source of capsaicin. And so, you get those potential benefits of increased metabolism and maybe even a little bit of help with fat burning through a process called thermogenesis, which is basically where your body generates heat.
So it's literally heating things up on the inside.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
And, another bonus is that habaneros are also a good source of vitamin C, which is important for immunity and healthy skin.
Vitamin C is always a good thing.
Yeah.
So what about a DIY recipe using habaneros? What's something that people could try at home?
Well, one of the things that we saw was a recipe for habanero guacamole.
Ooh, that's a classic with a twist.
Right. It's like a spicy twist on the traditional guacamole.
Yeah, I like it.
So, you're going to need your typical guacamole ingredients,
Okay.
2 ripe avocados, but then you add in 1 habanero pepper.
Mm-hmm.
And, the recipe emphasizes that you want to de-seed it and mince it really finely.
Right. Got to be careful with those seeds.
Exactly. And then you also add a 1/4 cup of chopped cilantro, the juice of 1 lime, and half a teaspoon of salt.
And then you just mash it all together.
Exactly. Mash it all together, and you've got this incredible, flavorful, spicy guacamole.
Man, that sounds good. All right, so we've made it to our final pepper, and it's a tiny but mighty one. The Thai bird's eye chili. I mean, these things are small, right? But they pack a punch.
Yeah, these little guys are definitely not to be underestimated. They may be small, but they're incredibly potent. The heat level usually ranges from about 50,000 to 100,000 SHUs, which, as we've learned today, is still pretty darn hot.
Right, definitely enough to make you sweat a little bit. What does the Thai bird's eye chili taste like? Is there anything unique about it?
A lot of people say that it's mostly known for just this really pure, clean, sharp kind of heat. But some people say they detect, very subtle grassy notes, maybe a hint of citrus. But overall, it's really the immediate and intense heat that makes it stand out. It's really good for, adding that quick burst of spiciness to things like curries and stir fries and soups.
Yeah, makes sense. It's a staple in Southeast Asian cuisine, right?
Exactly.
Now, even though it's, smaller and maybe not as high on the Scoville scale as some of the others, are there still some health benefits associated with the Thai bird's eye chili?
Yeah, definitely. Once again, the capsaicin comes into play. With these chilies, it can act as a digestive aid by stimulating the production of gastric juices, which can help your body break down food more efficiently.
That's good to know. Always looking for ways to improve digestion. Anything else?
Well, like all the other peppers we've discussed, they're also a good source of antioxidants.
Right, those little powerhouses.
Yeah. So, that's good for, fighting inflammation and boosting your immune system.
Awesome. So, for our final DIY recipe, what can we do with these Thai bird's eye chilies?
Well, there's this interesting recipe for Thai bird's eye chili pickle.
A chili pickle.
Yeah, yeah. It's a great way to preserve those chilies and get that, spicy, tangy kind of flavor that you can add to all sorts of things.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more. How do you make them?
All right, so for this one, you're going to need about 10 Thai bird's eye chilies. And you'll combine those with half a cup of vinegar, 1 tablespoon of sugar, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and a 1/4 cup of water.
Okay.
And you start by heating all those liquid ingredients together, the vinegar, the water, the sugar, and the salt, in a small saucepan. You want to heat it until the sugar and the salt are dissolved. And then you add the whole chilies to that mixture and let them simmer for about 10 minutes. And then you let it cool down completely and store it in an airtight jar in your refrigerator.
Sounds pretty easy. And what would you say is like the best way to enjoy those pickled chilies?
Well, the sources suggested is a really tangy and spicy condiment. You can add them to, noodles or rice dishes or even, just as a little some extra on top of, I don't know, eggs or whatever you like.
I like it. Well, we've covered a lot of ground today. I mean, from the Carolina Reaper all the way down to the Thai bird's eye chili. we've really explored the world of hot peppers.
Yeah, it's amazing how diverse they are,
Yep.
not just in terms of the heat level, but also the flavors and the potential health benefits.
Yeah. And just to kind of remind everyone, we talked about how capsaicin, that compound that makes peppers hot, can potentially boost your metabolism, act as a pain reliever, improve digestion, all sorts of things. And then, on top of that, a lot of these peppers are also good sources of antioxidants and vitamin C.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in these little peppers. It's pretty impressive.
It is. Now, before we go, we got to, handle these peppers with caution, especially the really hot ones like the Carolina Reaper and the ghost pepper. Always wear gloves when you're handling them, and when you're adding them to food, start small. You can always add more heat, but you can't really take it away.
Exactly.
Mhm.
It's much better to err on the side of caution when it comes to hot peppers.
Absolutely. So, think about it. Now that we've talked about all these different peppers, which one are you most curious to try? Maybe this is the perfect time to get out there and do a little culinary exploration of your own and think about, how could you incorporate these peppers into your diet, not just for the heat, but for the flavor and for those potential health benefits that we talked about.
Yeah, there's a whole world of flavor out there just waiting to be explored. Maybe you'll discover your new favorite ingredient.
And who knows, you might even discover some unexpected health benefits along the way.
Exactly.
Thanks for joining us on the deep dive. We'll see you next time.